Hello, y'all. It's Jay. I'm gonna take you through a personal point in my life that I feel that I need to discuss. My upbringing. And it's gonna go with a lot about my father because I don't bring up my father too much. Unfortunately, in 2011 we lost him to COPD, which constructs your lungs and makes you not be able to breathe. Throughout his lifetime, he did a lot of drugs, hard drugs. He did a lot of alcohol. He had a sex addiction. He had a very addictive personality. And growing up around someone who puts drugs before the children, you kind of grow up with a sense of, as a normalcy for you. To see your father constantly high on the couch, you're constantly seeing him binge out on food because of the being high, or just see him constantly sleeping all the time, not really being there for you. And I can't really say necessarily that he was there for me. He was a father, but I can't really necessarily say he was there for me. I do feel that in my years now it has impacted me because it gets me scared to be around people who do drugs. It has opened my eyes to drugs, meaning it has opened my eyes and saying I ain't touching those. I really honestly don't know what he tried in his lifetime. I don't know if heroin was ever tried. Heroin is a nasty drug, and a lot of people are dying in 2018 still, and it's always going to be of heroin. Heroin is one of the nastiest drugs that you can get a hold of. But being subjected from a very young age about drugs, you kind of get scared of people like that. And I'm not saying that I turn my back on people who do drugs. I'm just saying you suppress a little bit and you have a different view on people who do drugs, especially when you grew up around a person who subjected your life to constantly seeing whacked out on a couch or constantly seeing that person go out for the next fix. Like, they didn't put you first, put their next fix first, and constantly would be out all the time doing drugs, and then when you needed them as a father, they weren't there. I can say that because of that circumstance that he wasn't there all the time, I feel it has brought me to be a better person, because I know for a fact I won't touch them. I don't want to do drugs because drugs isn't the way I want to lead this world. I want to lead this world innocently. I don't think that drugs are something you need to hide behind, because that's what a lot of people do drugs for, is to mask pain in relationship pain, sexual abuse pain, etc. And I can say for a fact that I know my father, when he was a very young child, he experienced sexual abuse. So I feel throughout his lifetime, he coped with drugs as dealing with the sexual abuse. I'm not saying that's a good factor. I'm saying that I think that things should have been taken care of, counseling, etc. But I do feel very sorry for people who do drug abuse because it's their fault, but it's not their fault, is my feelings on it. Because a person who does drugs doesn't just do drugs to do drugs. There's a circumstance in their life that has thrown him into it. And my father's case, it was the sexual abuse in his past that threw him into a sexual addiction. Threw him into an alcohol addiction. Threw him into a drug addiction. To watch that and being around that for a lifetime kind of opens your eyes to what's out there. Opens your eyes to what drugs are out there. Open your eyes that sex abuse is real. That it can impact you in a very big way. Sexual abuse can kill you if that person doesn't kill you themselves. Sexual abuse can throw you into a drug addiction. And that was my father's case. His sex abuse in his past was taken out on me all the time. He never learned how to deal with it, so that sex abuse was constantly thrown into my face on how I represented the person who did it to him, or how I represented this, or how I represented that. And I'm just trying to say we need to throw awareness out to heroin addicts and drug addicts and sex addicts that there is help out there. You don't have to end your lives. You don't have to take that last fix and not be here. Because there is a lot of deaths each year. And there's probably a lot of deaths now. It is already 2018. There's probably a lot of deaths now in the last 2 weeks, the last month. It's a very sad road to be on. With what I've seen in the past and how I've dealt with his drug abuse, I don't feel that I personally want to take that route. It's not something I want to do. It doesn't feel it in my heart that it's something I need to do is go down a road of drugs. It doesn't lead you any good. It leads you straight to the casket or the grave or the urn or wherever you want to go, your final disposition. It leads you right to it. So my statement is really, let's kind of stop this drug thing. Let's get these people help. Let's step in. And sometimes it's hard to help somebody like that. Because if they're willing to help themselves, then you feel in your heart, why help them? Because I wanted to help my dad on so many occasions. But with him not helping himself, what was the point? But I loved him. He was my dad. He did do things that shouldn't have been done. And I don't feel that I was raised with a good father figure around. But I feel that has made me strong, and it makes me want to be a man that he wasn't. And I know when kids and stuff do come along that I will be such better father, and I wouldn't treat people or my kids like that. I wouldn't blame them for something that happened in my past. I would get the help and go from there. So my message for you guys is just drug abuse is not right. But don't turn your back on someone like that. I know it's hard. Love them. Because that's what gets that's why people die, is because the family gets so tired of it, they turn their backs and then the individual's dead. And I've seen this more than once, that if you turn your back on someone who does drugs, then they're going to go out and want to get that last fix because they feel that you don't want them there. They feel this and they feel that, and then in the end you're ended up having to bury them or cremate them because of your neglect to educate yourself on drug abuse, alcoholism, sexualism. Sex addiction is not a cool addiction either. That's a hard addiction to follow because you're out there putting your life at risk all the time with sexually transmitted diseases out there. You're putting yourself at risk for that. With drug abuse, you're putting yourself at risk of getting a sexually transmitted disease through a needle, through kissing, etc. And then alcoholism, you're gonna drink yourself to death. I mean, it's just what it is. But addiction's real, and a lot of people just want to sit there and deny that addiction is real. Addictions are real. And growing up, now about to be 28 years old, and I've experienced it in a lifetime, I can say I've seen it. I know it's real. It's there. So I'm not really saying that I'm going to get up and be an advocate for drug abuse, but something